Good evening and welcome to the September 19th, 2012 meeting of the Traffic and Transportation Advisory Committee. Please rise and follow me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mrs. Marcelina, will you please call the roll?
Chair Lemon.
Here.
Vice Chair McKay.
Here.
Commissioner Engler.
Here.
Commissioner Gregory.
Here.
Commissioner McMahon.
Here.
Thank you.
Any person who wishes to speak regarding an item on the agenda or on a subject within the city's jurisdiction during the public comments portion of our agenda must file a public speaker's card with the recording secretary before that portion of the agenda is called. Any person who wishes to speak on a specific agenda item must file a public speaker card before the specific item is called. Persons addressing the Traffic Commission are requested to state their name and their city of residence for record. Under state law, issues presented or introduced under public comments can have no action and will be referred to the Traffic Engineering Division manager for administrative action or scheduled on a subsequent agenda. It would be appreciated if you would please all turn off your cell phones or at least put them on silent. And it says cell phones and pagers, but I don't think anybody's carrying a pager anymore. As a reminder, there is not to be any dialogue between the audience and the commissioners at any time. TOTV can only record your comments when speaking into the microphone, and a wireless microphone is available for your convenience should you need to step away from the podium while speaking. Under public comments, each speaker will be given 3 minutes, and the recording secretary will set the timer accordingly. The green light on the timer will begin counting down the 3 minutes. When the yellow light is displayed, you will have 1 minute left, so please begin wrapping up your comments at that time. The red light indicates that your time is up. Well, I guess we can have 5 minutes depending on either the number of speakers or whatever. So I would take a look at the audience and think that in spite of the massive audience here tonight, 5 minutes is probably allowed. And we just ask you to state your name and your city of residence. And with that, we will open it up. Do we have any public comments?
No, we don't, sir.
Hearing no public comments, we'll move along to, thank you very much, to summary notes. Oh, you did want to do both? Okay, then we do have one public comment, and it's J.C. Simons.
Yes, good evening, Commissioners. J.C. Simmons from Newberry Park, longtime bicycle advocate, past president of the Canadian Valley Cycle Club, and as always, I'm pushing the envelope on bicycles. We in the bicycle community believe that the more people that ride, the safer it is for everybody, drivers and riders. And I think it's starting to bear out here in the city. You see more and more people on bicycles, and people know traffic knows how to behave around cyclists and expect us to be there, and the cyclists are learning how to deal with the traffic problems. Given that, I had run into Commissioner Lemo at the Meet the Chief the other morning and mentioned that I'd read this article on bicycle trains, and I wanted to come and speak about that later on the agenda. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you very much. We'll now move ahead with no other speaker comments to our summary notes. They're attached from our June 20th meeting, so we haven't seen everybody for the whole summer, and those are just attached for your information. Does anybody have any questions of staff on those notes? And I'm assuming there's no comments on those notes. We'll now turn things over to our Engineering Division Manager, John Helliwell, for the status of prior Traffic Commission recommendations.
Yep.
I'm sorry, I made a mistake.
We want to do item 5, or item 6.
Item 6, I'm sorry, and that is recommendation to proceed with preliminary engineering design for the Los Feliz Drive School Sidewalk Pedestrian Safety Project, and Kathy Lowry, our engineering associate, will report on that action item. So, Ms. Lowry?
Good evening, Chair Lemo and members of the Traffic Commission. I'm Kathy Lowry, and I'm going to provide you with a presentation tonight on the Los Feliz Drive School Sidewalk Pedestrian Safety Project. I'm going to first talk about where the project's located, then kind of walk you down the street via pictures and explain the project, then discuss a timeline of how we got to where we are today, and then go over the recommendation and answer any questions. So the cornerstone of this project is Caneo Elementary School. It's on the northeast corner of Caneo School Road and Los Feliz Drive. It's about a stone's throw from where we are right here today. It's not very far from City Hall, and it's one of the oldest schools in the community. The sidewalk project limits are on Los Feliz Drive. The west end of it is Caneo School Road, and the east end is Skyline Drive. It's about a half-mile long segment, but there's missing sidewalk on both sides of the street. So once the sidewalk's complete, we'll be doing about a half mile of construction, but it's shared on both sides of the street. So this is, you're starting on Skyline Drive, and we're going to picture yourself going west towards Caneo School. And the important parts of this project are there's a tremendous amount of constraints, or the sidewalk would have already been built. Historically, when a property doesn't have frontage improvements, the city expects the person who lives at the property or owns the property, as they come in for a development permit, as part of their condition of a development, they do frontage improvements. So a good example is somebody on Los Feliz wanted to add a bedroom to their house. They would be required to, if there was a telephone pole in front of their house, to take down the telephone pole, dedicate maybe 10, 15 feet of their front yard, and construct curb, gutter, and sidewalk, in addition, and pay for that, in addition to paying for their new bedroom that they want to do. So given the constraints of this neighborhood, the cost of these public improvements, it's unlikely in anyone's lifetime it was really going to happen. The other thing is the utility poles. The city does have an undergrounding program. There's 25 projects currently on the city's list to get done, and this isn't even the top 25. So that's, and there's only funding for the project that's first on the list. So there's 24 projects not even funded. So again, starting here, so you can see on the left side is the utility poles. The poles hold a lot more than just Edison. They have telephone, cable, different telephone companies all use the same poles. And on the north side, you can see there's already an existing sidewalk and a street light. There's not street lights all throughout Los Feliz, only where there's been the opportunity for the city to condition a project. As they constructed sidewalk, they were also putting in street lights. So you go west a little more, you come to Bayer Lane. On the south side, you might be familiar with the large RV storage facility. That in itself does not generate very much traffic or parking demand for Los Feliz Drive. It's there's a grass. It's just a grassy area that you could walk on, but on once close to the chain link fence is a ditch. And then on the north side, we actually have a sign that says "Park off street." Or park off pavement, I'm sorry, because the street's not wide enough to park on the street. So basically people are told they can park in their front yards. So anyway, as you go west, excuse me, there's a large for this area condo project on the south side. And when they came in, they dedicated the right-of-way in front of the property and built curb, gutter, and sidewalk and landscaping. And because they have what's required parking for their facility, there's really no demand for parking on the street in front of their project, although they have enough right-of-way that there could be on-street parking. And then on the other side is where Many Mansions is coming in. There's no access from Many Mansions onto Los Feliz, but there's pedestrian access. So families that live there that are going to go to Caneo School will be coming right out on Los Feliz and walking down the street. And there's actually not a lot of frontage for Many Mansions, but just gives you an idea where they are. This is a jogged intersection right behind Oakview is Quinta Vista, and it's another stop-controlled intersection. But you can see on the south side, the utility poles are right where a sidewalk would be, and then on the other side, the sidewalk's already constructed. And you can see the drainage. I don't know if you can see by the fire hydrant. There's a catch basin, so there's drainage facilities also already constructed on the north side. Going down to Whiteside Place, there's a lot of landscaping on the south side, so if anyone's walking on the south side, they're actually walking more in the street to avoid the landscaping. This is where Almond Drive is, where you just approved the stop sign. That there's the sidewalk and curb and gutter is all on the north side. On the south side, it's posted no parking, and there's room to kind of walk on the south side because there's an asphalt berm, and then there's kind of a DG enough to walk kind of off the pavement, which just continues down to where actually that type of treatment goes all the way down to Caneo School. The parents that pick their kids up at Caneo Elementary School, which is across the street, park at the Elks Lodge driveway, which the Elks Lodge is totally fine with. Actually, they feel they've looked into their insurance and they don't have any problem with it. But the parents who park there then walk across the street right in this area because there's an access driveway that Caneo School opens up to provide access onto Los Feliz. And there's also a driveway on the Caneo School Drive, but that's full of cars and people. So as you get to the intersection, there's the crossing guard is assigned at the four-leg stop-controlled intersection. You see how the telephone poles kind of jots out into the street. There is sidewalk on Caneo School that goes from Thousand Oaks Boulevard up to Caneo School, but it doesn't go east on Los Feliz. So, back in January 2011, the school safety team, which is made up of city staff and Public Works Department, traffic commissioners, police department, school district members, as well as anyone at the school that we're also meeting with, which might be someone from the PTA or the principal. We met at Caneo School. We made some recommendations that could be done immediately, but the sidewalks in Los Feliz were kind of looked at, well, we can't ever really do this because it's so cost prohibitive for anyone to do it. And city's policy is to wait for an applicant to come in and do the public improvements in front of their property. That being said, I just kept thinking, how could we just do this different? And then it's like, well, what if we got Safe Route to School money and we didn't put it in the ultimate location? Maybe we can put it closer to where the travel lanes are, narrow the travel lanes, put the sidewalk, work around the telephone poles, assuming they're not going to come down, work around the on-street parking and make it a project. So in December, I met the parents of the Caneo School students at a meeting. About 120 parents came to the meeting. I can't take all the credit. They were meeting on something else, and I kind of glommed onto their other meeting. But they overwhelmingly were thrilled if we could put a sidewalk. Their only concern was, can't you do it right now? And at that point, it was just my little idea that we're going to apply for this grant. So we applied for the grant in March, and then lo and behold, in July, we were awarded $350,000. Woo! So, just a couple weeks ago, we had a meeting of the people who live on Los Feliz Drive, because we actually hadn't really told them, even though it's been in the paper and the council's been talking about it, and the Acorn did an article, but we sent a direct mail to all the residents as well as the property owners, because there's a lot of people that own property in Los Feliz, but they don't live there. Invited them to a meeting at Caneo Elementary School. We had about a third of the property owners come to the meeting. They were very supportive of the concept of putting a sidewalk on the way we were proposing it, that we weren't taking any other property. There's no dedication. There was concerns who would pay for moving a mailbox, like the project would pay to move the mailbox. But they also have more concerns on Los Feliz, as they call them, past sins of Los Feliz. And we had to let them know we can't fix everything. This money is specifically earmarked for sidewalks, curbs, and gutters, safety programs for the school, as well as we can probably add street lights, because of the Edison poles, we can probably put street lights on the poles. And we let them know they'd be kept in the loop, and the next time they would hear about the project was when it comes to Traffic Commission before it goes to council, and probably 6 months or something like that. So we're here tonight And based on your recommendation, then in October, it'll go to City Council to award the design contract, and they'll start designing the project. And this is a unique. We've actually had all public meetings without even starting design, which is a new way the city's doing things, is having the public more involved way up front so that we can address their concerns. And given the design goes the way we plan it, we'll start construction in September 2013, and hopefully after 6 months it'll be complete. And then following completion of the project, the education component is implemented, which we got a grant for. So we'll hire a consultant to go in and teach the parents and the children mostly a bilingual presentation several times about safe walking and biking to school. So that brings us to our recommendation, which we're asking you to direct staff to start our preliminary engineering for. Oh, there I am. I'm not done my PowerPoint.
Can we go back to the PowerPoint where you were left off? Is that what you were looking for?
That was the last one.
Okay, thank you.
So, yeah, based on that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
And with that, do we have questions from the commission? How about comments? Vice Chair McKay.
Kathy, just once again, I want to say congratulations. I know how proactive you've been with these Safe Routes to Schools grants and how successful you've been at getting them. So I think it's great for this particular area, for the kids that walk to school. I know that we did just put the stop signs in at these places, which is going to make it even safer. And so I just want to say thank you, and for always
You're welcome.
being out there with these Safe Routes to School grants, because they have helped a lot at many places in the city, and this one will be particularly helpful for these kids to walk to school.
Commissioner Engler?
I just wanted to say yes, thank you very much for your effort to put this together. I was really honored to be one of the participants in the request. I wrote a letter, and as I really thought about this project, I wrote this letter from the heart of a mother first and a traffic commissioner later. And it was really thrilling to see that your efforts had really come together, and I'm really excited to see how it turns out.
Commissioner McMahon.
With that, I'd like to make a motion that we proceed with this recommendation as Kathy has said, and let's go for it. I think it's awesome. It's great.
And do we have a second of the motion?
We don't need a second.
We don't need a second. Any comments to the motion? I'll make the last comment then, following along with Commissioner or Vice Chair McKay. Congratulations. I think it's one thing to go look at a problem and throw your hands up. It's another to find a creative solution, and I think that was by going the grant route. Very, very well done. So congratulations, and with that, we'll call for a vote.
Chair Lemo,
Yes.
Vice Chair McKay,
Yes.
Commissioner Engler,
Yes.
Commissioner Gregory,
Yes.
Commissioner McMahon.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Now we are ready for the status of prior Traffic Commission recommendations. And with that, we'll turn things over to our Engineering Division Manager, Mr. Hellawell.
Thank you. We have actually 3 items to report on. There you have 2 in your packet, but there's actually another item that's been, as action has been taken on it. First item here, July 10th, City Council approved the installation of stop signs at Los Feliz and Almond Drive and at Los Feliz and Whiteside Place. So those have been installed. July 25th, we conducted a stakeholders meeting to review residents' concern regarding parking at Pepper Tree Park, Playfield. And with that, on July 25th, there was a Newberry Park. The meeting was conducted in Newberry Park. There were about 30 people there. We went through a number of thoughts and ideas and received input from the residents, and listed about 20 or so things of concerns to look at and evaluate. And so what we're going to do is meet again with the stakeholders this fall and go over some of those ideas and possible solutions or other discussions. And then we'll be reporting back to the Traffic Commission with the results of the outcome of that next stakeholders meeting. On September 11th...
Before you move on,
sure.
We have one question. Vice Chair McKay.
Just because I'm curious, was it any hint on what the gist was, that where they were leaning on that over at Pepper Tree? Or just want me to wait and be patient, which I'm so good at?
Generally, the general feeling was that AYSO stepped up to the plate and has contributed a lot of resources in terms of security guards and training for the parents that have their kids in AYSO, and they've managed to keep almost all the traffic out of the residential area. So they literally solved it themselves. So there's a few other minor concerns that we'll be looking at. The concept of the angle parking is over. That's been deleted from any further options, and there's some other ideas that we'll be looking at, and then coming back with a brief but nice report regarding the outcome. And the third thing is the speed limits went to the City Council this September 11th, and that was the speed limits lowering on 5 streets throughout the city, and it really went over well. That's a result of Assembly Bill 529. It gave the city more flexibility in being able to lower speed limits when there weren't pedestrian or bicycle facilities in the area that would allow it. So it was a good thing. 5 streets are now lower speed limits and still enforceable. So that brings all our 288 street segments. Every one of them is in compliance with the most current law, all the current laws. So, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions from any of the commissioners or comments on any of the other items on that report? Hearing none, you will see there is a report under item number 8 in our packet regarding commission referrals. And I didn't know if any particular commissioner had any questions for staff on any of the referrals.
Would you like me to summarize each one? Or
yes, please. That would be great. Thank you.
Just for the audience at home, maybe. Okay, the first concern was one of our commissioners had a question about a vehicle parking on Lesser Drive at Reno Road, and that parked vehicle being detected by the traffic signal. We went out and did an evaluation, investigation at the site, and we observed that the vehicle was not being detected. The signal operated normally for 20 minutes or so, and then we continued to spot check it after that. The second item was the commissioner was concerned about a sign being blocked by vegetation, and that had been vegetation has been trimmed, and so that sign is now quite visible. The third item was regarding the southbound Windy Drive right turn only into the shopping center south of Old Canal Road, being in conflict with the merge lane, and currently that area is under construction on the bridge, and apparently because of that construction, at least it's either going to be temporary or permanent, but right now there's the lane that would have been in conflict and now is a right turn only lane. And I guess I don't need to go into some of the other aspects of that concern, because I think the situation has been resolved.
That's right. And you'll also see that our work program and commission schedule is attached, relatively light. And at this point, if there's no questions about our work program, we're going to move to our Traffic Commission comments and discussion. And the first part that I would like to raise is tonight, even though she will probably be coming here to fight the crowd and see the meeting. This is Miss Sandy Bravo's last Traffic Commission meeting as a member of staff. She will be here, no doubt, as a participant and a speaker, and I think Mr. Halliwell may have some reports she's going to read for us. But in all seriousness, I feel very uncomfortable referring to her as Mrs. Bravo because nobody calls her Mrs. Bravo, except maybe her mother-in-law and the boys in the neighborhood, but everybody else calls her Sandy. And no matter how many Sandys we have at the city, everybody knows that if you bring up the name Sandy, you're talking about Sandy Bravo. She's been with our city for 19 years, so she has babysat this city for a long time, more than 19 years.
19 on the Traffic Commission.
Oh, 19 on the Traffic Commission. How many years with the city? 34? Is that what you said? Did you say 34 years with the city? I was going to say, you started when you were 6. No, could you take the mic, Sandy, so we get this right? You've been with the city for how long?
TOTV, take it off there.
There it is, see?
I'm on my 24th year. And
24.
But 5, I now have 28 and a half I'll be retiring with.
28 and a half. And so she did come here when she was 6. You were right, Commissioner Gregory. And I think most commissioners will have their own comments, but one of the things that is really nice is when you come on board as a new commissioner, she's very patient. She probably answers the same question, at least for me, 5 or 6 times. I'm pretty sure all the answers were the same answers, though, so that worked out well. She makes you feel right at home and also goes out of her way to make you feel that you've been on the commission forever, especially the first time you're the chair, and she gives you your little cheat sheet and you don't get anything wrong. And so on behalf of our citizens who can't be here tonight, and as a citizen and as a commissioner, thank you very much for your service to the city, and thank you for taking such good care of us. And with that, we'll open it up for other commission comments, starting with Commissioner Gregory, and we'll work our way through the line.
Yeah, I've been silent tonight just waiting for this, but Sandy, I just want to thank you because my very first memory of my very first meeting was of you easing me into my position, making me feel comfortable so that I wasn't sitting here not feeling like I was the only one that didn't know anything that was going on. But over the years, certainly, you've been the anchor of this commission so far as keeping everything organized, making it all work. We always come in here and know we're going to have a good meeting because it's always been thought out ahead of time, and just as a very nice person to be around. So I just want to thank you for being there for us over this time. Myself, personally, I just kudos and whatever you do next, okay? You'll be missed.
Commissioner Engler.
Thank you. I agree completely with how welcoming and mom-like you are. You walk us through. And for me, a year ago, that was my first time. And I had a question about dozens and dozens of things. And you answered all those questions and said not to worry. And the questions I wasn't supposed to ask, you said, that's not one you can ask. I said, no problem. On I go. So you really helped us all. I know that I will miss you, although I have a feeling we're going to be seeing you because you're just a part of our life.
Vice Chair McKay.
With my work with the schools, I actually came here as a citizen a couple of times first and called the traffic department and dealt with you not first as a commissioner, but first as a citizen of Thousand Oaks. And you were so polite and so helpful to the people that come here to speak and call into the department. And that's how I first remember you. And so thank you for that, because that's really, where the rubber meets the road. It's terrific when I became a commissioner and how helpful you are and how great you make us always look up here and don't let us make mistakes. But I really think the value and what we're all going to miss so much is how wonderful you were to the people of Thousand Oaks when they call, when they come here, when they're not sure what to do, and how comfortable you make everyone feel when they come. And we will miss you. And thank you for everything that you did.
Okay.
And Commissioner McMahon.
Well, I've been here the longest, aside from staff, and it's hard to think of not coming here and not seeing you. You have been such a steadying presence for all of us in all these years. And I'm going to miss you, but I think I will see you because over these years you've become a friend, and that's pretty cool. So good luck. I'll see you. And you're going to start riding your bike now, right? Yeah. And you're going to start riding your bike with me, right? And with Kathy. So good luck. And I know this is a whole new phase of your life, and it's going to be just as good or even better than before.
And with that, maybe everyone can just take a moment with me and have a round of applause of appreciation for Sandy. And with that, we'll move ahead with a little bit of business. We have 3 meeting dates to address for the balance of this year: October 17th, November 21st, December 19th. We have been, during our regular schedule, we meet every other month. Or no, actually, we meet once a quarter. So October, November, and December, one of those times would normally be a meeting time. I think we have to probably throw out for consideration November 21st because it's the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. Not a good time. I mean, we may have a crowd of people slightly smaller than tonight because I think JC is not coming that day. And then we have December 19th, which is interestingly just 6 days before Christmas, and October 17th. So what I'm sort of fumbling with and asking is, what is the pleasure of the commission to choose a date that we will meet in the fourth quarter of this year, if at all? And I'll turn it over to Vice Chair McKay.
It is. Is it a requirement? I know when we, cancel these, is it an absolute requirement? I know we said we wanted to meet once a quarter to be responsive, but we've met tonight. Our workload is, extremely light. It's, there is a cost associated with these meetings. And so to meet next month, just to say we met, doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And so if we're not absolutely required, I would think that it would be okay to miss all 3 of these. It is the holiday season. It's a busy election season. It is busy times for everybody. And to spend the money to have a meeting just for the sake of having a meeting doesn't make a lot of sense to me, as long as we're not going to break any rules and just meet again in January.
You won't break any rules.
Because I know you wouldn't let us.
Yeah, we wouldn't let you do that. And we wouldn't do it either. What I think we should probably approach this is, if something comes up, that we will notify the chair and then get an authorization to have a meeting. Then we'll look for a date and that kind of thing, and then we'll communicate that to you. We don't anticipate anything, but there's always that possibility, and so we have to still kind of have the option that we may have to meet anyway, even if we cancel all the meetings until January, have a meeting in January. But
okay, then with that, I would make a motion that we cancel the October 17th, November 21st, and December 19th scheduled meetings, and leaving it open to staff and the chair to schedule a meeting if necessary.
And are there any comments to that motion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. I'm sorry. Commissioner Gregory.
Yeah, my only concern, and I'm totally on board with this since Thanksgiving just falls at an inopportune date this year. How long do we need to notify if we did have an emergency for some reason we needed to adjourn a meeting? How much public notice is required?
Well, it's always good to have at least 10 days.
All right.
But I would say that would be the minimum.
Okay.
More is better, but
So if we did, it could be either before or, say, after Thanksgiving at a reasonable time when people are actually in town and they're not, enjoying the holiday.
Right. In most cases, we could have a meeting in December, but a lot of times when we tried that before, the public has complained about having a meeting around all the activities of the holidays. So
exactly.
Yeah. So
I concur there. All right.
It would have to be a real emergency, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Well, 10 days, that's not a problem. All right. Thank you.
Well, and I would say that if anything really important comes up, maybe in the back of our mind, what we would look as a backup date could maybe be like the 28th of November. But I tend to agree with you that it'd have to be a dire emergency in December because people's planning schedule sort of kicks in from the first weekend in December on. So we've got that extra Wednesday to play with if it was really needed at the end of November. Any other comments? With that, then we will call for the vote.
Chair Lemo, may we have a hand vote?
Sure.
All those in favor, please raise your hands. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you very much. Before we move into the status reports, which are part of yours, item B, 10B, is something that we have a speaker card on tonight, and JC had started to explain this. He was telling me a little bit about this, and I emailed it and then asked staff to email his email around. It's an interesting program that I think we should at least be aware of here, but also it's one of those few programs that seems very, very easy to expose the community to. So if I could ask you to speak to item 10B, I have a card here for you. And just restate your name and city of residence for the record, and explain a little bit about it to our staff, and invite everybody again to go to the website. It really is pretty amazing.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner. J.C. Simmons, Newbury Park resident, 30 years in the Caneo, longtime bicycle advocate. Most of you commissioners know me. And I came across this article maybe 4 or 5 months ago. I don't even remember where I saw it, but it said bicycle train. And a bicycle train is essentially starts off, and I thought of Safe Routes to School and thought of DIANNE. I wasn't sure. And I did post it out to a couple of people. I wasn't sure of the communication channels. I'm glad the commissioners are willing to look at this. The idea is that parents and cycling advocates to get together, train children on how to ride as a group, safe bicycling techniques, and then set up a starting location some distance from an elementary school. And this could be one school, number of schools, start off as a pilot program, I would assume. A couple of parents, one is an engineer of the train and one is a caboose of the train, and you need one parent per every 3 or 4 children. At least that's what the guidelines talk about. And there's a lot of detail on the web. If you go to the web, just Google bicycle train, and it comes up from the Safe Routes to School page. And these things are going on in lots of European countries. Atlanta, Georgia seems to be the leading city here in the United States. Anyways, the train starts off at a specific time with a few children that have joined, and then you have several stops along the way, just like a train would, where other children can join in the ride. You have to have enough parents to supervise, and then you finally get to school, and they talk about awarding the students with some kind of a badge or notice that they rode their bicycle to school, lock it up safely in a locker. The article I was reading didn't talk about how you get the bicycles home at the end of the day. Obviously, you got to reverse engineer it and do the same thing going back. I thought of Thousand Oaks, Safe Routes to School. I know how crazy it is around the elementary schools the morning of and the afternoon when school's out, of all the cycle moms, cell phone in hand, kids running around crazy. It's just, the days are gone when we walk to school and we're just free to do that. Let's face it, obesity, diabetes are all epidemic in the society because everybody's in the cars being babysitted. They're on their when they're home, they're on their iPads and Playboys and PlayStations, so they're not getting the outdoor activity they need. And this would be a great way to get them into cycling, get them started early, and build from there.
Well, thank you very much, JC. I think staff has the same information that I had sent around, so we can sort of use the time off and going to open it up for comments right now.
Another thing I forgot to mention is I am a league cycling instructor, and I would be willing to set up training for the parents and do that part of the class so that they can learn safe cycling techniques and traffic rules and how that applies to cycles.
Great, thank you. And before you leave, let's get comments from staff and any questions for JC.
I was just going to say I'll go to the website and turn it over to the Community Affairs Vice President for the Conejo Council of PTA, because that's the best way to get it out to the PTAs and get the parents involved and hopefully get this moving at a couple of schools. It even, because of the parent supervision, younger kids can ride their bikes. I know when my youngest was in second grade, we had to accompany him. The parents could, he wasn't allowed to ride by himself yet. And so this means that even the younger kids can start riding their bikes at an earlier age because there is the parent participation part of it. So I will commit to at least getting it to the Conejo Council of PTA so they can distribute some information. And then what they often do is they invite you to a meeting that has all the unit presidents, and then you can present maybe your thoughts on it there if you're willing.
Excellent. That's the kind of the avenue I was looking for of who the contact people were and how to go about moving this train forward.
That's the part of the train I can move.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments from commissioners? Thank you very much. I appreciate you giving me the information and coming down and visiting with us tonight. And with that, we'll move. One
side thing completely off agenda from that is Ciclavia's coming up in Los Angeles October 7th, Sunday, October 7th. Big party in the city. Streets are closed. Bicycles, skateboards, walking.
Thank you very much. That's October 7th. And with that, we will move to our engineer status report. Mr. Hallowell, anything you want to point out in particular?
I just want to mention that the bicycle advisory team and the school safety team will commence meeting again. They were off for the summer, so there's no report for that. And then on 11B, status report for Thousand Oaks Boulevard and Oakview Drive and Thousand Oaks Boulevard and Live Oak Street, where we have the lighted crosswalks for pedestrians there. We did quite an enhancement there over the last year or so. We overlaid the street, and then we put in new striping, highly visible striping, thermoplastic, which is basically high technology plastic that's applied to the surface of the street, signs, and these flashing beacons. And we've upgraded the beacons again to this, they call it a rapid rectangular flashing beacon, and it's really an eye-catching beacon. So we hope this improves the safety of these two locations for the pedestrians.
Thank you. Any questions or comments by commissioners?
I was eating at Garage Dog yesterday, which was right by one of those new lighted crosswalks, and it was amazing how visible it was and how well it worked. So, job well done.
Thank you very much.
Health food there.
Yes, they must have some kind of health food there.
Yeah, it was healthy Garage Dogs.
Is there anyone else on the commission that wants to do a commercial for a local business? I'm sorry. Does that have anything to do with the free hot dogs for 30 days card that you have here? Okay. With that, we will. All right, well, let's get serious for a second. Out of respect and gratitude to Miss Bravo, let's adjourn this meeting in. Right, before we do that, Did people ever wonder why the two most experienced of all the commissioners sit to my left and to my right? They try their best to stop me from making a mistake, but they're not always successful. We're going to go ahead and wish you all a happy holiday because we don't anticipate seeing you before then, especially the crowd of people that are here tonight. And whatever your holiday may be, have a good one. We are going to adjourn out of respect and gratitude for Sandy Bravo, who has done a phenomenal job for us over 19 years, before the citizens of nearly 28 years. And so with that, we are adjourned until Wednesday, January 16th, 2013, here in the Boardroom of Civic Arts Plaza. Thank you and good night.